Traveling in color here in Dayton, Ohio, at the University of Dayton Arena. This is Inside Indiana Overtime. Ken sitting in for Alex. It's always better when Ken's here, really. And I'm Zach Osterman, obviously. And we're talking about this game. Indiana 83, James Madison 62. And, you know, I mean, at the risk of being flippant, it was just never close. I mean, James Madison, you know, from the beginning, I think Indiana had kind of set the tone. I think they had 4 shots in their first offensive possession.
Yeah.
And you just felt like James Madison couldn't keep them off the boards, couldn't keep them getting open shots. I mean, there was just nothing James Madison could do.
Yeah, and Yogi scores the first 9 points. I mean, by the time they call the first time out, it's 9-0 Indiana, and Yogi's the smallest guy on the court was playing the biggest, and he was scoring on layups. He was just going to the bucket, and then he makes his first 6 shots. And the thing that impressed me the most about him is the fact he made his first 6 shots. He had a bunch of rebounds, but unlike other guys, freshmen especially, he didn't try to do anything to do any kind of heat checks, any kind of everything was in the flow. Everything was what Indiana wanted.
Well, and it felt like this was a game, maybe for some of the things that people have wondered, are they weaknesses about Indiana? And look, I understand that it's James Madison, so let's not talk like Indiana just won, you know, the Big Ten again.
They did,
but you know, people were concerned about Jordan Hall's jump shooting. He's 3 of 6, knocks down a couple threes. They were concerned about bench production, 26 points, 13 rebounds from the bench today. You know, they were concerned. I mean, I don't know if Yogi Ferrell was necessarily concerned, but people wondered, you know, could he be an X factor going into the tournament? Could he
in his first tournament game?
Right? Could he step up and kind of be a guy? I mean, it spoke volumes that the 3 guys that were taken into the postgame locker room or the postgame press conference today were Remy Abel, Will Sheehy, and Yogi Ferrell.
Yeah.
You know, that you walk into the Indiana locker room proper, and Cody Zeller's in there, Jordan Hulls is in there, Christian Wofford and Victor Oladipo are in there. It was kind of a day for a lot of those things that if Indiana is going to make a tournament run, things that could be really big, kind of quiet parts of that.
You look at the minutes that Derek Elston got. I mean, he ended up getting quite a bit of playing time tonight, and that was something that they really needed. He had a blocked shot. He was out there doing what he needed to do. And again, this is why I say that for as much as they wanted to win the Big Ten championship, as much as the regular season was a grind, this is what Indiana's been working for all year, this time of the year. So the regular season, those were goals, but all of that was just preparation for this. And I think that Indiana came out and played like that's what they were really. They were ready for this, I think is the best way to put it.
There was almost to a feeling like this was kind of a deep breath game in a way. I mean, you expected Indiana to win. I think they hit the line. I think it was a push. I think the line was 21, and they won by 21 to the chagrin of someone out there, probably.
21 and a half, I think it was.
20 or so. So
yeah.
One way or the other. I mean, you know, it felt
for
like
entertainment purposes only.
And yes, and not just Indiana, but, you know, I think Tom Izzo had a rather colorful quote at the Big Ten tournament about basically expressing what I think a lot of people felt, which was that everyone was just kind of tired of the Big Ten season. It just, every game felt like it mattered so much, and every game felt so grinding. And, you know, without being cliche, there weren't any nights off. There were so many games that so many teams were playing that just felt so crucial and so pivotal that by the time the Big Ten tournament rolled around, everyone was kind of like, all right, we're just sick of this. We're done with this. And for Indiana especially, I think when you consider the added weight of this season, and then the fact that they were front runners all year, and we did win the Big Ten, you know, they had to go through hardly a week went by where they weren't playing a game where you felt like, you know, the implications of a win or a loss were huge. This, I think, was an important game for Indiana to just be able to go out and, I mean, you know, for better or worse, just kind of beat up on somebody and not really feel like the world turned on every possession, on every decision.
Exactly. And you know, again, that's why, you know, going into this tournament, nothing that they face in the next couple of weeks is going to be as tough as what they faced in the Big Ten. Yeah, you're going to have big games because everyone is, you lose and you go home. But just that caliber, that grind, the physical punishment of each game, it's you're playing a different brand of basketball now, and Indiana is conditioned to play one way. It's a way that's going to allow them likely to be pretty successful, at least for the next couple of weeks. But just the fact that they don't have to go ahead and play such a tough I guess, just a tough road in every single game. It's
Mentally,
gonna make it,
mentally, you can just kind of walk
and
through it a little
physically
bit.
too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, nobody played more than 27 minutes tonight.
This light is not flattering.
They shot almost 53% from the floor, made 9 threes, 60 and 21 from the line, plus 10 in rebounding,
They did everything.
plus 36 in
They did
points
everything
in the
that they
paint.
needed to do.
It was very much a get-right
Yeah.
game for Indiana.
Yeah.
Everybody who needed to have a good game, you felt like maybe just to get their rhythm back, had one. Nobody had to play too much. Nobody came out of it hurt. It's just a good game. Now we move to Sunday, Temple. People are probably at least somewhat familiar with Fran Dunphy. He was a coach at Penn for a long time. He's not Bo Ryan esque in terms of the way that he wants to grind the game down, but his teams do play a very methodical style, and that's going to be a challenge for Indiana. I mean, we've seen Indiana struggle with that this year. They're going to have to figure out ways to get Temple sped up. And really just kind of put those little bursts into him, because Temple has Big East Atlantic 10 Player of the Year, Khalif Wyatt, who scored 31 points today. So I think
with a bad thumb too. He hurt his thumb in the first half.
And I think Philadelphia media were kind of comparing him a little bit to Trey Burke, and obviously that's a bit of a lofty comparison, but just that sort of guard who's a little bit undersized, handles the ball in a lot of situations, can score, can distribute. Indiana's not going to be unfamiliar with having to defend an offense that kind of starts with one guy spreading everything out.
And that's where just going through that Big Ten season is going to be so important for them, because they're not going to run into anything that they haven't faced. And Tom Greenism at a high level this year. And that is something that they're going to be prepared for. And to get Temple sped up, it starts and stops with just winning on the glass.
Yeah.
They have to get to the boards. They have to get a quick out. Then they have to get the ball moving. And again, everything has been focused on this time of year. And if you have Derek Elston healthy and helping out, you have Christian Watford showing up when the lights come on. I think that's why this is a team that's just been ready to play right now.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at kind of what NC State will reserve much comment for their just sort of mental and emotional approach to the game today. But when they were a little bit more locked in, when they did seem a little bit more kind of intensely focused on what was going on, they were almost able to kind of out-athlete Temple a little bit. I mean, Temple was at one point up like 17 in the second half, and
it was tight. I think it was a 3-point game.
Yeah, I mean, NC State pushed its way back. So you think that Indiana can maybe do some of the same things, because they probably won't have some of the same problems with shall we call it, disinterest. But we'll see, and we'll have a lot more. We're going to cut it kind of short because it's 9:30, and I've still got a lot more work to do. Can't speak for Ken. We I think the line's what? I think 11 and a half.
11,
maybe?
I think I heard
something like that, and it's going to be an interesting game. I mean, Indiana should be a pretty heavy favorite, and so far they are. But I mean, like you said, this is going to be one of those things that maybe the Big Ten season's prepared them for. They've got to figure out a way to get a patient, methodical team sped up, and I think NC State did it to some degree today, offensively. Indiana's just got to be better at it. So.
It's going to be a dangerous game, there's no question, but Indiana also should be prepared for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, thanks for joining us on Inside Indiana Overtime. Thanks to Ken for sitting in. We'll probably have him back, sometime later this weekend, and we'll have a lot more. We'll talk Temple a lot more tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your Friday night.